Well, this is going to get me in trouble, but I'm okay with that because I think you deserve to know. I'm going to share with you 3 ways in which I think that the mental health industry, the sick mental health industry, keeps you stuck. And then I'm going to tell you 5 things that I would do in 2025 if I wanted to really improve my mental health. I'm Dr. D, ER doctor turned psychedelic medicine enthusiast. So let's break this down. First of all, I think that the way in which we care for mental illness in our country is really not great. And I think it keeps people stuck because here's what happens. First of all, so many times physicians tell patients that this is just your biology. Like this is what you have and this is nothing that you can really do about it. It's not your fault, which maybe it's not your fault, but nothing really you can really do to change it except maybe take this medicine. If that doesn't work, we'll try this medicine. If that doesn't work, we'll try this medicine. Like it's maddening. And I used to, as an ER doctor, I kind of practiced within that paradigm. But I'll tell you that it's not just your biology. Biology, heredity, like that can play a role, but I'm not sure it's that big of a role. I mean, I think sometimes these things that we inherit are the ways that we learned how to handle life from watching, right? Maybe some of it's in our DNA, but a lot of it is probably just caught because we model what we were seeing. But, you know, the sick care industry will tell people like, well, I mean, that's just how you are. Like this is what you have and it's probably not going to get a whole lot better. And so that's one way that I think that they basically keep people stuck. The other way is they just label you, right? The DSM-5 is just a way of categorizing your set of symptoms, right? It doesn't tell you anything about root cause or what the best treatment would be. It's just like you have this whole group of symptoms, and so this is the box that we put you in. And we are not designed to be in boxes. So maybe it helps providers to communicate with each other, but I don't think it does a whole lot more than that. What it really does, what I see it doing, is, again, I think that it makes patients feel stuck because they're labeled with bipolar or they have borderline personality disorder. What are they supposed to do? Well, I have generalized anxiety disorder, so I'm just kind of stuck. You're not stuck. There's things that can happen that you can do to get your brain healthy. And that's what we're going to talk about here shortly. And then my third criticism is they've never really addressed the underlying concern, the underlying health issue that takes place that's causing these mental health issues. They never address brain health. And I believe, and there's good data to support this, that we can just stop talking about mental health because the brain's an organ. If you get that organ healthy, the mental health actually follows. But instead, when they don't address the root cause, they just hand out pill after pill after pill. And side effects keep stacking, right? You try this medicine and you titrate up on the dose of that and it's not working, so we take you back down and we switch you to something different. There's a role for medications, okay? I'm an allopathically trained ER doctor. There is a role for medications, but I think that we minimize the effect of all of these other things that can do that would actually help get to the root cause and fix the brain health. And so that's what I want to talk to you about. So here are 5 things that I would do in 2025 that I do actively work on if I wanted to clean up my mental health and improve that, if I wanted to improve my brain health, if I wanted to be equipped to handle life differently instead of struggling with depression, anxiety, all of these limiting beliefs that I've been taught by the system that we're in. So maybe these aren't going to be very popular because people would rather just take a pill and maybe numb out or maybe get a little bit better or at least blame someone else, blame their doctor for not getting it right. But here are 5 things that I would do in 2025 if I wanted to get my mental health better. The first thing that I would do is I would move my body. I would exercise. I would make it a priority. And I get when you're in a funk, you don't really feel like doing that, right? Well, just do it. Like just start. Like you don't have to go run a half marathon, but just start. Get a 10 or 15 minute walk in a day. And then you can build on that, right? But the recommendation is like 150 minutes of body movement a week. What that does is it literally changes how your DNA is expressed. It turns on these transcription factors that cause us to make energy more efficiently, which helps with not only our energy level, but also our mood. It decreases chronic pain, decreases headaches, all sorts of benefits from moving our body. And it'll start decreasing insulin resistance because insulin resistance fuels a lot of inflammation. Well, guess what? depression and anxiety are disorders of inflammation. We've actually measured markers in the brain that are inflammatory markers and seen them to be elevated when people have depression and anxiety. So a lot of this that I'm going to talk about centers around getting the brain healthy. So moving your body has tremendous benefit for that. The other thing that I'll do that I would suggest to you that's not going to be very popular is clean up your nutrition, right? Look at that standard American diet that we consume. SAD, SAD, it's the SAD diet. It's sad because it's so inflammatory. All the carbohydrates, all the refined sugars, high fructose corn syrup added to like everything, right? Just to make it sweeter, to get us more addicted. So we got to clean up our nutrition because that high carbohydrate load saps our mental health, right? Literally promotes the brain to be less healthy. We also have to minimize our processed food, same sort of thing, right? We need to be eating all the colors of the rainbow. So we're getting all this nutrition into our bodies so that our bodies as a machine function optimally. And that might mean taking some supplements because let's face it, even my diet, not always really on point. But I would encourage you to start by eliminating like artificial sweeteners and the sweet drinks, the sodas, whether they're sugar or not sugar. I would start trying to buy organic when I can. I would minimize my alcohol intake, 2 or 3 drinks a week, maybe, because that alcohol is toxic to the brain. And we wonder why we have a society riddled with depression, anxiety, PTSD, ADHD, OCD, all of these conditions, but we got to look at what we're putting in our bodies. So minimize the alcohol, minimize the cannabis, start fueling your body with good, healthy food, and it does make a difference. It's not going to be like taking a pill and within 10 minutes you feel better, but over 3, 4, 6, 8 weeks, when you start doing these things continuously, you're going to look back and be like, you know what? I actually do feel a bit better. The third thing that I would recommend that you do is get connection to God and get connection to other people. So we are social creatures. We are designed to be in community with other people. But one of the things that happens in our world is we've got 2,700 friends on Facebook, but we can feel so isolated. So start making friends, start establishing connections, even when you don't really feel like it, right? Because I know when we're struggling with our mental health, our brain health, we don't feel like going out. We don't feel like being connected. But if you do that, the results will follow. And, I think we need these horizontal relationships. And then I think we need a relationship with God. You've got to exercise that spiritual part of yourself. Now, my worldview, I'm a Christian. Maybe that's not your worldview, right? At least tap into that spiritual side of your life. Spend some time meditating. Spend some time with mindfulness. Write a gratitude journal, right? Start developing these habits that promote spiritual wellness in your life. The fourth thing that I would recommend that you do is start to read. Get new skills, right? If you struggle with your relationship with your spouse, read a book about that. Go buy Boundaries by Henry Cloud. Learn how to set up boundaries in your life, or read the 5 love languages. Start skilling up because these skills will stack. If you get skills at being able to communicate better with your spouse, that's going to translate into being able to communicate better with your friends, with your boss, with your coworkers, with people you don't even like. You'll develop these skills, which means that your communication is better. There's less angst coming into your life because you're a bad communicator, right? And so if we start reading books that develop us personally and spiritually, that's going to change the trajectory of our mental health. And again, it's literally changing the chemistry of our brain, right? Because now we have less stress in our lives because our relationships are getting a little bit healthier over time. The fifth thing that I would recommend, if you're really struggling with depression, anxiety, PTSD, it's probably going to get me in trouble too. I would recommend looking into psychedelics. Now, depending on where you are in the country, in Indiana, the only legal psychedelic that we have is ketamine. And that's a medicine that I had myself back in 2020. It's the reason that my depression is in remission. But you might be in other parts of the country where psilocybin is legal, or maybe you're in a situation where you can go to Mexico or some other place and do a retreat with some of these plant medicines that can actually start to help the brain to heal. I mean, I can speak specifically to ketamine and how that works. Essentially, we get depression, anxiety because chronic stress causes loss of neuroconnections in the brain. And so what ketamine does is it causes those dendrites, those parts of neurons, within 2 hours of one infusion, causes those neurons to start forming new connections. So literally undoing what chronic stress has done to the brain, causing depression and anxiety. And oftentimes that can be a result of PTSD, one major event or multiple smaller events. But those are the 5 things that I would recommend that you do in 2025 to improve your brain health, which will improve your mental health. So move your body, clean up your nutrition, develop connections with other people and with God, tap into that spiritual side of yourself, read something that develops you personally and spiritually. And then if you need to, seek out some of these medications that have been shown to really boost neural connections, to boost brain health. I hope that helps. I love you guys.